Here I am on the lathe, turning basically the first part of the mold for the cannon. After looking at all the photographs we have now, you can tell the cannons were turned or to some extent are manually milled. They're all different. There's all slight like milling errors in them. I don't know if they were turned out of tube or solid stock like I have here. They're definitely turned. You can actually see some machining marks in them. It doesn't really matter to me what the original was made in, but it's just easier to make a precise buck for molding purposes. If it's something around like that, just to turn it. So here I'm beveling the edge, the back side of the cannon. I do turn the shoulder part into it. I don't have that footage for some reason. But here I'm just checking against the photographs of some different cannons that are available, pictures that are available. Checking the cast piece that goes in the end. It wants to be really tight. That part, when you mold it, will actually loosen up ever so slightly. So it would be better if it actually didn't fit, but I don't know how you would check it to make sure that it didn't fit just exactly right. I don't have the gauges to check that. The cannon, the lasers themselves are made of, in my case, they're going to be made of, the first part will be aluminum, then a carbon fiber rod, and then at the tip, just brass tube. I've already made a few dozen of these. Here I am just making 4 more, just to show the process here. Stick it in a collet so it's centered nice. So to start, you just face off the end. Here I'm just checking the shoulder measurements. I have them written down somewhere, but I just measured one I had already made. And then you turn the cross feed in to the right amount and then slide it along the face, which cuts the shoulder that's right there in the middle of the cannon. Knock off the burr of the file. These are the little collar at the tip of the cannon, molded. Here I want to show the process of, so a great deal of the cast parts are open face. They're easier to mold. So if you have a flat edge, it's easy enough to plunk that down and throw some rubber around it, and then you just pour in that open hole, and it's an open face mold. Super easy. But you always have to true up that face. And you can see here I'm do a little sand, like we'll push and then a twist and a push and a twist, and you just continuously spin the part so that it averages out the pressure that you put on that sanding block. That's an aluminum sanding block with some peel and stick, 80 grit, I believe, on there. And this may look tedious. I actually kind of like this. I like cleaning up parts. This is the part right down at the base of the cannon that has the heatsink part in it. Again, you over mold it, you over cast it by a tiny bit so it's a little proud of the mold surface, and then sand it back down to flush. You can do a 2-part mold and then the part would be done, but then you have to worry about air bubbles getting trapped, and this way it's just a big nice open face. You pour it, you overfill it a little bit, you know it's good. This is the cannon mold with no armor on it, no plates, nothing to distinguish it from any other part. This is just easy way to get it out of the mold. Just throw it in the collet and it grabs it for you. This is the first casting out of this rubber. I don't know if you'll notice it got a little sticky. And here is the same parts. I made a bunch of parts, and then to differentiate between the different cannons for the different ships, vinyl stickers layered on, and then you recast all of those, and here we have those. So now they're all individualized, two for each ship, essentially. So you have basically like the upper left, lower right wing, and lower left, upper right wing are basically opposites on each ship. How do you get these out of the mold? Well, super easy. Just blow air in the mold and it spits them out. I have the camera sort of in my way here, so it's harder here than it actually normally is, because you can just hover your hand over it and blast them out of there. I'm trying not to knock the camera. And obviously mark them all so it's easy to identify when I'm grabbing them. Here it's obviously cutting them all to the exact length. I originally made the molds so that the end part was too tall, just so it'd be easy to pour. You always have extra, and then you just cut them off to final length afterwards. Here's a setup in the mill. Again, another collet block just to hold it vertical. I've already centered the mill over the collet. And that's just an end mill. I don't know what size is, whatever size is appropriate for the aluminum tubes that I just made previously. And obviously you have a stop set. You just go down till it hits the stop. So you can see the armor plates on the, barely see them. And cleaning up the cannon laser something or others. I don't know what they're called. These are also cast in like an open face method, although I have a much thinner edge there, so there's a little defining line that allows me to know exactly where to trim. Makes it easier to trim. Then you scrape off the edge and you're pretty true. .3D printed a little block as a holder so I could drill it nice and straight and true. If I put that hole in there in the casting, I wouldn't have been able to and get it out of the mold, because the mold rubber would get stuck in the hole. I did have a little indent in the casting, which allows that drill bit to go in to start nice and true. Here's a real final assembly of all the finished parts. Still need to make a little sleeve to hold that brass inside the carbon fiber. The carbon fiber tube hole is slightly bigger than the correct size brass tube. I'm pretty happy with the assembly process and molding process of the cannons. They stay really true. So when you spin them, everything stays nice and parallel and true. The aluminum sleeve over the carbon fiber sleeve and the milled hole in the top of the cannon all line up. Something about doing something on machine tools makes stuff super accurate. This particular assembly here was done before I did the jig for the little half-round laser parts. So those particular laser parts were hand drilled. I don't know if you notice, they're not quite straight and perfect. Once I set up the jig, they came out really true. These cannons I put together are for Red 3. The first complete set of parts that I'm going to build. Well, Red 5 is pretty much done. At this point, I have to do the side plates and bottom plate that cover the mounting holes in the side of the fuselage, the bottom of the fuselage. Other than that, and those plates are also different on every ship, effectively. And I'm sure they mixed and matched them all over the place, so it's tough to know exactly what's right with those. I think I'm gonna redo another fuselage and do the scribing for Red 1 first. We have such good photographs from the Heritage auction, and we also have really good photographs from Red 3, of course, from the Master Replicas photos. But I think I'm going to do Red 1. I really want a Red 1, a studio scale Red 1. I have a Red 5 I scratch built, but I think the first one that I'm going to actually complete is going to be Red 1. Thanks for watching. Check out the description of the video for links to the forum posts where I'm posting this build as well. And see you on the next one.